Good evening and welcome to another edition of G Sport Live. I'm your host, Babsie. In studio today, I am not alone. I am in the presence of greatness. I am joined by head coach of Hockey Fives and a former Olympian, Coach Polo, and the content lead for G Sport, Celine Abrahams. How are you ladies doing today? Are you good, Coach?
I'm fantastic. It's always a pleasure to have any conversation with G Sport. You guys have followed my career from the time I thought I could be a something, and here I am today. And when this call came, I was like so happy to be here.
We are so excited to have you, and we are looking forward to having a great chat with you later on this evening. Celine, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Babsie, and thank you for being back in the show. And also welcome to our Coach Polo for being here on the show tonight. Looking forward to our show, and greetings to those who are watching.
We have such an exciting show for you this evening. You guys are going to be impressed by us. So, Celine, in our newsroom, we have been covering the World Championships, and we have seen such great performances from the African athletes.
Incredible. I must say the World Championships have been, the Athletics Championships, in fact, has been really great to see the African athletes going there, smashing records, world records. So really incredible just to see how our athletes are performing and, just setting the tone and giving some inspiration to the youngsters who are sitting at home and are watching their idols on TV. So really incredible. And the G Sport newsroom has been on top of every story. So, it's just also kudos to our G Sport newsroom team for making sure that we cover all of these stories and shine the spotlight on our South African and African women in sports.
So, what has been the biggest story that we have been covering?
The biggest story has to be Banyana winning the African Championship. So and I think, just looking at the team, really incredible. So, but I think you have something to, get us into.
Before we go into that conversation, let's just take a look at a recap of what a great weekend it was.
Here's a chance for a second. South African lead. South Africa out of this world.
Your thoughts on how Banyana performed in this tournament?
For me, it's this weekend I messaged last night. I messaged Coach Desiree Ellis and I said, Coach, full circle. And I sent a picture of her when she was playing back in the day, captaining the team. And I said, this is what leaders do. We not only inspire the next generation, but we ensure that there is progression. And for me and her, after all the years that we've been talking about women coaching women, I could not be prouder. It was a late night. I had my own game to play and coach next morning, but I had to watch that game because this was a moment that was so huge, not only for women coaches around the world, but for African coaches that have played. We talk about, do you have to be a past player to be a good coach? I don't necessarily think so. But for us that do, this was a moment for all of us. And today when I messaged Smith and I was like, ma'am, you paved this way, and there've been so many women that have done so much for South African women's football. We talk about Portia Modise who did so much. And here we are. We have our maiden gold, and how deserving to not just the individuals on the field, but those that came before them and the coaches that came before her and the players that she was a part of. And she's like, Coach, I'm humbled. I'm like, please, this is not a moment for you to be humble. Today, tomorrow, the whole week, we will be celebrating you, Desiree, because you've done the damn thing. She did the damn thing.
We are so proud. Were you able to sleep after that high?
No, like in the first half, I was like, no, we have it. We have it. But as a coach, you know that you don't have it by possession and chances.
Yeah.
You only have it when you score a goal. And it took us forever to score a goal. And I would just felt for her as a coach. I was like, Coach, I know what you're feeling. You know, you are on top of this game, but you're just not doing what it's needed.
Yeah.
We talk about scoreboard pressure, and that's all we needed. And we scored one, a little bit of relief. We score another. Okay, we're going home now. And then they
Yeah.
score, and we're like, oh my god, where are we going? Because we know, we saw in the semi-final, Morocco took down the mighty Nigerians
Yes.
in penalties. So it wasn't done until it was done. So even watching the 90th minute, 91st, 92nd,
That 9 minute stoppage time.
just blow the whistle, take us home. And again, I love the generation that we are within now. With social media and looking at the players celebrating, looking at Desiree celebrating. I'm like, you need to be hailed as much as you are right now.
Yes.
So this is not just a win for football. It's not a win for women. It's just Africa as a whole. For us South Africans as a whole, we've been fighting so hard for this. And I think we'll wait for them to come home. We need to celebrate them properly.
Definitely. I totally agree with you. Celine, what are your thoughts on Andile Jamini walking away with the Golden Glove Award?
Andile is such a great goalkeeper. We see her locally play for Mamelodi Sundowns ladies. What an incredible goalkeeper. And to see her, throughout the tournament, she played so well. And just, making sure that those goals don't get, behind her. So just to see her getting that golden glove, really incredible. And congratulations to you, Andile, for that. Just also looking at her coming back and then making sure that's a lot of confidence, especially when you come back to the league and then going to the FIFA Women's World Cup next year. She's definitely going there very confident and pumped up for that World Cup.
No, it's definitely exciting times. As Coach said, we need to celebrate them. They will be at OR Tambo at 10 a.m. tomorrow. We need to go there, fill it up, and embrace our ladies with so much love. There is so much to be celebrated. But those aren't the only leading we can use that we had this past weekend. Let's check out our other newsmakers for this weekend. Commonwealth Games are 3 days away. As we saw, the Spar Proteas come off a 2-0 series win against Wales. So they're going in with such great confidence into this matchup. And there's so much to look forward to with this Commonwealth Games. Coach, what would be your advice for our hockey team on how the ladies can leverage this tournament in, being the best that they can be?
Yeah, they played really well against Wales after coming off. I think for them would be a disappointing World Cup.
Yeah.
But again, having a new coach for a first major tournament, it was a stepping stone. And now they played Wales. Okay, we can come together when we've given time, and that's what they have right now. They're not in an easy pool, and from there it's let's see what can happen. And everyone just wants to get out to be in the knockout stages because I think from there anything can happen, right?
That is so true. And all we can ask for them is to perform at their best and to just bring out their best foot forward for those matches. Yeah. Celine, how excited are you for these games?
Super excited because I know our South African women in sport are going to do very well and we are here to support them. So please do stay tuned to gsport.co.za because we will be covering every second of the Commonwealth Games.
Stay tuned on our social media platforms. You know that we will have you covered and giving you the latest updates throughout the Commonwealth Games. But the biggest news that came in this afternoon is captain of the Spar Proteas, Bongiwe Msomi, will be one of the flag bearers leading the Team South Africa into the Commonwealth Games. Let's listen to her reaction after she got the news.
Bongi, what was your immediate reaction when you were told that you would be the flag bearer of Team South Africa?
Oh, look, I don't really share that much emotions, but for this one, I definitely shared a tear too. It's really an honor. It's massive. I don't really take it lightly. I work with so many top athletes, people who have achieved so much that probably had never had this opportunity, and to realize that this is Commonwealth Games in my third one, I get to walk in front, and lead South Africa. Going into such an event is a great honor. I have to say, I feel very special, and it's such a great honor also to walk this path with Christian. It's for me, it just shows that in sport is for all of us, and at this stage, I feel like we actually represent that really well. We have to thank SASCOC for actually respecting us, both of us, and also giving us that opportunity.
Awesome. The ceremony obviously takes place with exactly a year to go to the World Cup. What does that mean for you and for the sport of netball?
Oh, this is massive. I think I've said this before. I work with a lot of different athletes. Even back home, my job is literally being a netball manager and coach. And besides that, I run my own netball program where it's called Bongi Msomi Legacy Project, and that's where I also work with a lot of athletes, in a different space. And I think this is just to show that there's hope out there through sports, and actually where credit is due, it does get given. So I have to really also say it just shows that if you work with the group and that group respect you, the reflection of how the public see you is through the people that you work with. So I have to thank the Spar Proteas or the national netball team, everyone that I work with, because probably their actions are reflecting to people that are probably doing a good job, to be recognized like this. So this is really massive.
This is not your first games, and you obviously have plenty of international experience. But what makes these Birmingham Games different to the others?
Oh, look, I've said this before. 2014, when I got the first chance to come to Commonwealth Games, this is a massive honor. You get to meet a lot of different athletes in different sporting codes, where it's different to if this was a netball World Cup, it will only be about netball. And I think just the vibe, where you get to experience a lot of different cultures, and you meet people that you would have never thought there was this country. This is where you get a chance to know all of those countries. But besides that, I feel for me, it's about, coming here and being a South African team with different sporting codes, being like a family away from home, but also having a goal. We're here to work, and actually give it our all. So it's great that it's not just netball or just myself only that's looking forward to that, but a whole lot of different athletes here from South Africa who are pushing for that. They're understanding and the vibe, knowing that we have to support each other, but also still really perform well. I think that for me is really great and exciting. So these are one of my favorites, I have to say.
Okay, awesome. And then just lastly, what is your message to South Africa who are watching on TV and supporting Team SA at these games?
Oh, South Africa, I would love to say, before we even start, we can feel the vibe. We are so grateful for your support. But more than anything, you better watch hard, because we're going to give it all, got to give it our best. But besides that, we're going to enjoy it as well. I think that's very important when you involve into such important games, to still enjoy what you're doing so you can be able to implement on court. So definitely, this is a big one, and it's for you. We're going hard for you.
We look forward to supporting Team South Africa at the Commonwealth Games. They do start in 3 days, and Thursday will be that opening ceremony. Now into our big interview. It's that time of the night where we get to speak to Coach Polo, and she will give us an in-depth on her career and all the strides that she has made in coaching and in the leadership space. Coach, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this evening. It is always such a pleasure to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. Like I said, I feel like part of the family here at G Sport.
No, and we embrace you. We receive. So tell me, How did you feel when you were announced as the head coach of the women's 5 hockey team?
Oh, well, I've been working with the International Federation of Hockey for quite a couple of years now, and we spoke about hockey fives being the next best thing for us. We've been talking about where do we place this in our calendar, because the calendar is very busy. Like we said, now we just come out from a World Cup, and before that there was a Pro League, and now it's the Commonwealth Games, and there'll be the Nations Cup happening in later. Where do we fit fives into this? And I said, I'm an African from Africa. This is something we really, really need for the emerging nations and the smaller nations, to give those smaller people a chance at wearing the national colors and representing the national teams. We spoke about it at length, and yeah, to 2014, I think it was the first time that Hockey Fives was at the Youth Olympic Games. I became the head coach in 2018 for South Africa. First time introduced to fives, and I fell in love. And not because I was a head coach, it was watching the little island of Vanuatu, which is a South Pacific island, singing their national anthems, and I thought these kids would never have worn their national colors if it wasn't for this format of the game. And that was so special for me, because I see a country like Botswana, a country like Swaziland being at a World Cup for hockey fives. They might not have 40 of the best players in the world, but they can definitely have 12 of the best. So for me, fives is not just let's play and development. It is, how do we find the top 12 players in each nation that can represent their countries? And that for me was always so special, because I was born in Lesotho. I'm a kid from a really small country. Came to South Africa when I was 9 years old. Who would have thought that I would be an Olympian? And here I am.
Here you are, your star is shining so brightly. I would like for you to please unpack the different formats of there is the 11s format of hockey, and then there's the 5. The 5 is not really well known amongst people who are not immersed in hockey. So how would you give us a basic definition of the two and the difference?
Okay, we South Africans, we sports lovers. So we'll compare this to, imagine rugby 15s
Yes.
to rugby 7s. Imagine your T20 to your 11s game in cricket. So we are the fast, exciting format that will bring the sport into every home that will watch it. In 25 minutes, you would have watched a full international of hockey fives, compared to a 75-minute game. So I always look at it as, I'm in South Africa, I'm in the bus, on my phone, I can watch a full international. Just like you do 3 hours of cricket compared to 5 days of cricket. How many youth are watching T20 compared to them watching a 5-day match? Even the rugby 7s, how many people are tuned in for a weekend of rugby compared to a whole 3 weeks of a World Cup? So we're looking at, let's put sport where the youth are, and we want to make it as exciting as it is. And for me, I'm a striker. I'm a striker coach. I love seeing goals. I love seeing goalkeepers working hard, and this is what hockey fives is. You will see a goal shot every 15 seconds at most. And that's what people want to see. They want to see the action. They don't want to see the midfield work. They want to see the action. Goalkeeper versus striker, and that's what hockey fives is about.
It's all about that fast pace. Now, before we go into further detail about the hockey 5, you're talking about being a striker coach. How was it being in a position of being a female and leading a male team, and just finding a way to lead that team into, how the vision that you see and how they can grow as a team?
Well, when I got the call from the head coach saying, TP, I need you. And I was like, sir, anytime. What do you want? And he's like, our team is getting into the zone, but we don't know how to finish. And he said, I don't know anyone who's more obsessed with scoring goals than you. So please come through. And I was like, anytime. I watched some videos and I said, it's an easy fix. And I can't say the exact words that he used, but he's like, no ways. I went in there, and again, I always talk about the leadership in every team is how you'll be received as, an assistant coach, a technical coach. He said, this is Sando Polo. She's going to be the striker coach. If you don't know who she is, you shouldn't be here. And that he just said the president right from then. And the guys have been the most amazing gentlemen, and and now leading up to the Commonwealth Games and the work that's been put into them going in. I worked tirelessly with them before the Tokyo 2020, 2022 or 21 Olympic Games. Really amazing gents, right? And if you set the boundaries about this is performance, it doesn't matter what gender your coach is. If I want to be better and this is the coach that's going to get me there, they didn't care. They would call me any time of the day, Coach, I'm still not so clear about this. Can we go out earlier in the morning and work on that?
Yeah.
And they knew that I was obsessed with like the little detail about every single one of them.
Yeah.
So they could call me at any time, and it was amazing to see them grow. And 3 a.m. watching, Tokyo time compared to South African time, when we scored the goals that we'd been working on for years. It was unbelievable to see what we did, and we now then the highest goal scoring team at the Olympic Games for South Africa. So I was incredibly proud of what we achieved. And again, in high performance sport, there's no egos.
So how do you take that advantage of once being in the player's shoes into your coaching, especially when it comes to somehow maneuvering those, when you have to be a tough coach? Because you need to know, when do you know this is the time to be hard and frank, and when do you know that, okay, let me be easy on them?
I think having been there, in the beginning, it becomes very frustrating when they don't quite catch what you knew how to do, like easily.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the world's best players then, and a really successful coach, Alison Annan, when we were at a course, he said, the most important thing for us, especially as a past player, don't coach them as you would have wanted to be coached. Coach them as they are. And that took a lot for me to understand. Like, when a coach said, do ABC, I was able to do ABC. But for me, sometimes I have to coach B and C.
Yeah.
I have to teach B and C. I just can't expect them to know. And that was one thing that I had to learn. But again, I haven't been in their shoes. I think the trust factor becomes a little bit easier, because when I can sit down and say, I understand, and on a Thursday evening when we've had 7 sessions in the week, I'm like, I know you're exhausted, but we need 10 more minutes from you. And they can nod because they know that I've been there in those shoes, and I could not give 10 more minutes, but I'm asking them for 10 more minutes because I believe they can give me 10 more minutes. And when you look at coaches that have never been in those shoes, it's difficult for you to say, you know what, let me jump in.
Yeah.
So I think being a past player makes it a little bit easier in terms of saying, I know what you're going through right now.
And it opens up that trust factor between you and the players, which, is such a great way to lead them into. And then we just had the Hockey World Cup. So we are now starting to see more and more females in the coaching seat. And how would you love to see that even more, where there is a bigger pool, where the teams are all coached by females, rather than having that smaller ratio of the female coaches?
Yeah, I'm never shy to say this. I'm really not happy with the number of coaches that are women in the women spectrum, or even in the male side of things, right? In the World Cup, there were 3 women head coaches. out of 16 teams. Not enough. And right now we're moving into the Commonwealth Games. It's only still 3 women, and all 3 are past players. So you look at how many male coaches that are in the women's space that did not play at the top level. Not that I'm saying you have to play the top level to be a good coach, but for women, we have to do so much more to get that little bit of recognition. And there's always the argument like, no, but there are not enough women, but we don't get chances. We're not given the opportunity to show what we have for us to then make mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and still have the job. And you look at how many male coaches are in the women's game. For me, not enough women are coaching women, because there are no women coaching the men's space.
Yeah.
So right now, if you look at 10 teams for the women's section of the Commonwealth Games, 10 teams for the male, it's 3 out of 20 then. And for me, it's not enough. When do women get a chance to try and fail, fail and try, and then win?
Yeah.
Because so many men get the chance over and over and over until they start winning. And they're like, hey, look, he's so great. Yeah, but he's had so many opportunities. So I don't think enough women coaches are given the opportunity to show what they know.
Which is something that needs to be worked on. And how do you think, what steps should be taken in closing this visibility gap? The ladies are there. They are ready and waiting to take up the position. And like you said, you don't need to have played in the top position or even have played at all. You may correct me, but it's about having that passion and having that knowledge. So how do we close that visibility gap and bringing them into that center where they are able to become coaches, and we can see a fair ratio of men and women in the space?
When the whole pandemic started 2.5-3 years ago, had a massive opportunity to be a coach educator. So I've been coaching coaches globally online for almost 3 years now. And there's so many women that come in, not enough still. And again, it's how are we bringing up our girl child? Are they allowed to explore things that are not traditional? It's the chats that we have in the family. It's opportunities that you allow in your community. Do they feel that they will be something if they try something new? Or are you telling them you have to be A, B, or C? As time went, more and more women came into my courses. I had a workshop, a goal scoring workshop. And at the end, I was speaking to the guy that runs the International Academy, and I said, how many women are in other workshops? And he's like, Polo, you've got consistently the most women that come into any workshop. And I was like, do you understand that representation matters? When they see the advert that Polo's going to be working with John, because I'm there, they're like, I want to go and see what she's doing. I want to hear what she's talking about. Right? Because it's not just another 17 men talking hockey.
Yeah.
There's a woman who's leading this discussion around hockey. And consistently, I've always had a woman in a workshop or a course. And he's like, that never happens. And I was like, there's something in there. Do you understand that there's something in there? And he's like, I actually had not thought about it. So let's showcase women. And I love, like, again, I am actually fangirling Desiree Ellis because she's been there from the get, and she's been in the trenches, she's fought. And right now, when she shows what worth she's got, everyone's gonna be like, hey man, why aren't we giving more attention to women's football?
Yeah.
Why aren't we seeing more women's football on TV? There's no way that we're watching one women's game the weekend, and we're watching third division men's game. Come on. We watch an under 18 boys rugby team before we watch a Premier League women's game on TV. And I'm like, where are we? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? So yes, we have that vicious cycle with media, spectators,
Yeah.
and sponsors. How do we gap that? And I think it's just, let's show people what women are capable of on the field, in the boardrooms, and anywhere else. And I don't think we have equality in that right now. And hopefully, this will be something that we can all springboard off, and we'll see some results.
I love what you said about representation matters. It is so important to see yourself in someone else in order for you to move forward. And when you talk about representation being so important, let's go back to this five format of hockey. How can we use that in earthing that grassroots level talent and going into these less into these areas that are not so popular or do not have, that support that others would get?
My goal after making my first South African team as a hockey player was always to take hockey into the rural areas, the tiniest mining town, anywhere where you can have 5x5 space to play hockey. I've always said if I had a helicopter to drop hockey sticks off anywhere, I would do that because kids will play. Just allow them to explore themselves, they will play, right? I grew up in a family with just older boys. I played football since I was like a year old. If I went under my grand's bed and I found a hockey stick, I would have been playing hockey since I was 1 year old. But I did not have the opportunity because I did not have a hockey stick. So with hockey fives, I don't need 20 kids. I need 7 kids. We can play. I just need to drop sticks off somewhere and just give them access to equipment. And hockey fives is something that can be played anywhere. I know right now we just come back from Switzerland, very affluent area, right? But what we did, and the FIH, International Federation, put it right in front of Lake Geneva, right? It was just there. They put on the turf. In 2 days, it was down. The whole stadium put down. And as we finished, the stadium was down in less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
So we're trying to show that hockey can be where hockey is not. In front of your lake, yes, we had the Swiss Alps in the background. Really, really beautiful. And I came back and I was like, I want to play on Table Mountain.
Yeah.
I literally did. We had a call and they said, Polo, no, you can't play on Table Mountain. It's a heritage site. We're not allowed to do anything on there. But that's what we want to do with Hockey Fives. We want to take it to every corner where you feel like it's impossible to have sport. Like, why? I would love, here we are, in the parking lot here. Put up a 5s court. We can play. In 3 days, we're out. You won't even know we're here. But in that time, would have put in 10,000 people would have walked in and out and seen hockey for what it is at its most exciting. So, I don't need an AstroTurf. I don't need 7 million or 10 million to build an AstroTurf. No, we can come into your hood and be out in 2 days. And you would have had an experience of a lifetime. And this is why Hockey Fives for me is exactly where I find myself in my fields when I think about it, because I just see how many people we can influence and how many people we can bring in, how many sponsors are sleeping on this and they don't even know it yet.
I love how your eyes just light up when you talk about it, the passion that oozes through. And that's the foundation of what a great leader is. Final question from me to you this evening is, what would your message be to potential sponsors out there?
Talking about Hockey Fives in particular, I'm just saying, look at the IPL, T20. About every team is worth about $1.1 billion. And this has happened over how many? 7 years? Potential. Are you going to catch on later, or are you going to be part of the pioneers?
It's so important in being that pioneer, especially with South Africa being such a sport loving country. And you did mention it is so unfair that we would be watching a third division men's soccer team versus a first division women's team. So we need to do better in closing that visibility gap. But thank you so much for such a great conversation. I feel inspired. I had so much goosebumps just talking to you. I will say, I love how your eyes light up when you talk about hockey.
Thank you very much. This is my life. It's my passion. It's I call it my verse love because I love music. So when I listen to verses, and I always just equate things to my passion for hockey, and hockey is not just a sport. For me, it's a tool to change lives and meet and greet souls. So that's where the sport lies for me.
One hockey stick at a time. That was my conversation with Coach Polo. Before we go into what we have in the week, let's just have a quick conversation regarding the Momentum Proteas. They're currently playing their third and final T20 match this evening. Celine, how do you think they can wrap up this series and just get that confidence boost before heading to the Commonwealth Games?
Babsie, when you look at the Momentum Proteas side, what an incredible, team that we have together. And I know, looking at the ODI series and the T20 series, obviously results-wise, not what they wanted, obviously, to get. But when you look at the team, incredible performances, especially, looking at the final games. And as you said, tonight at 7:30, they are playing the third and final T20I. So looking forward to seeing what the result that comes out, and I just want to wish them well for the game. But obviously they will be looking to get confidence to go into the Commonwealth Games and make make a mark on the international stage. So looking forward to it, and you can check it out. Gsport is there. You have a message running at the moment. So yes, just looking forward to the game tonight.
And I do think that they will be going in with some confidence, looking at the improvements that they made from their first T20 going into that second T20. So I'm very excited, and I'm hopeful that they will be ending this one off with a bang. But let's head on over to England, where Cass Naidu gives us a little bit of insight into the Momentum Proteas series.
Hi everyone, it's Cass Naidu here, all the way from Derby in England, where the Momentum Proteas are set to play the third T20 International against England. It's been a tough old tour for the team. They had a drawn test in Taunton, but after that it's been all England. A 3-0 series whitewash for the home team, and now they're 2-0 ahead in this T20 series, looking for back-to-back clean sweeps. From a South African perspective, they've lost a couple of senior players, including Marizanne Cup, and a couple of youngsters are getting an opportunity. Someone like Delmi Tucker will be delighted with the opportunity to play against top opposition. But ahead of the Commonwealth Games, if they can pick up a win in Derby today, it will give them some confidence that winning ways are just around the corner. Talking about winning ways, how good was Banyana? Maiden Women's African Cup of Nations title, the Queens of Africa. We are so inspired. If you are near OR Tambo on Tuesday morning, pop over and welcome them back. They should be back around 10 a.m. Central African time. Now, the other thing that gets me really excited is on Friday, the 29th of July, Gsport will host its first ever business breakfast. The aim of the breakfast is to look back on the last year to see how women's sport has advanced. We'll share some key insights from the Gsport Henley partnership, and Nielsen Sports South Africa will share research and data that has powered Gsport forward over the past year. Leading women in sport, sponsors, administrators, and supporters of women's sport will gather with us on Friday at the business breakfast. If you've received your invite and you haven't RSVP'd, get those replies in soon. There's a waiting list. Everybody wants to be there on Friday. Can't wait for your support of this event and look forward to seeing more advances in women's sport as we power our way to the top. Remember to follow at Gsport for Girls across social media for the latest.
While we are still on the Momentum Proteas topic, the ladies are off to a good start. They have a wicket within the first 2 overs. England have chosen to bat first. They are currently 12 for the loss of one. Looking forward to seeing how this is going to pan out. Stay tuned to the G Sport Twitter page, where we have our match center, where we give you the latest updates of this T20. Throwing forward and what to look forward to in this week. We have our favorite day of the week. Let us know what our newsletter will be about this week.
You know, it's definitely our favorite day of the week. So yes, we have our leadership newsletter coming out this Wednesday, where we shine the spotlight on women who are leaders both on and off the field. So do stay tuned, and the newsletter link will be shared in our comment section below, as well as on our social media pages.
Yes, and then it's followed by Thursday, where it's Twitter Space Thursdays. It is so exciting, and we have such great conversations. Here is a clip of last week's inspiring space, where we had a former winner, Joe Prince, hosting Deline Mentor and Julia Stewart. Let's listen to a clip of Deline.
Being a national coach, but also being a former national player, why do you think recognition is so important?
You know, I think coming from being a player, a lot of what you do is performance based, and I think that carries through into your daily life. Even when you stop playing, it can be something as little as, how you want to improve a meal that you cooked the last time. I'm just, trying to break it down. So I think, like, jumping from being an athlete to this, I think the recognition is something that we strive for now. Like, I want to see myself do better. I want to see growth. I want to see, I want to make an impact, and realizing that other people see the impact that I'm making, it motivates me and pushes me to do it more. The same way it was for me as a player. Yes, then it was really down to, the goals I scored, or the goals I assisted with, or, now it's like, what more can I do? You've done this. What more can you do? Can you get other little girls involved, other little girls of color? Can you empower other coaches? Can you, it's a whole other level of motivation to work towards something.
That was the ladies South African water polo coach, Deline Mentor. The nominations are still open for the 2022 Momentum G Sport Awards. Head on over to the G Sport website to nominate your fave. The nominations will close on the 9th of August, so you still have time. And if you're a bit confused on who you should nominate, head on over to our website again and go into our different feature articles, where we have also featured Coach Polo very many times. So that will give you the gist of who you should nominate. And on Friday is going to be such an exciting one, because as Cass mentioned, there will be that G Sport breakfast. So looking forward to that one, where it's going to be exciting, informative, and inspiring. Any parting words from you, Coach?
Look out for us. We are coming for the top, as we always do. I think women players, women coaches, administrators, sports enthusiasts, sports journalists alike, we know our worth, and I love the platform that G Sport has for all of us. We are seen through your eyes, and we really appreciate that. And that's why when you called me, I was like, no way am I missing this one. It's been such an amazing journey with the brand.
Yeah.
And when your first G Sport Awards, it's great, man. It's great that we feel seen, we feel heard, and we feel appreciated. And thank you for what you do. And we will keep making sure that you guys have a job too, because we will stay being great.
No, we look forward to it. Any parting words from you, Celine?
Just want to thank Coach Polo for coming through, and for just inspiring us all the time. We watch your career and we just marvel at your success, and what a great interview that you had today. So, and thank you to everyone that continues to support G Sport. And yeah, as we said, we will continue to shine the spotlight on our South African women in sport.
We have reached the end of another great episode. Don't forget to follow G Sport for Girls on all social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We look forward to keeping you in store and in tune with the latest updates of sport, women in sport. Don't forget, Commonwealth Games start in 3 days. Banyana Banyana are coming back tomorrow. Be ready to celebrate them. They have made us proud. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Babsie, signing out.